Finfine News Network, FNN News, and I am your host, Sibel. In news on the ongoing civil war, the OLA has continued its advance towards the capital. And most recently, OLA spokesperson Oda Tarbi reported via Twitter that a number of trucks belonging to government forces in East Shawa were neutralized after they were seen to be harassing citizens and trying to get citizens to give information on the location of the OLA and its supporters. And he also writes in this tweet that government reinforcements from Adama are set to arrive. The OLA has also reported killing more than 300 enemy combatants across Oromia in the last few days. In the East Walaga zones, the OLA reported a massive victory over Ethiopian government troops and seized most of those towns and cities in that area. And in offensive and counteroffensive operations it conducted in Ano, the OLA destroyed the enemy camp at Gute. So we will put up a map of that here. So here you can see the city of Naqamte in the middle, and then the location on the side is Ano, and the camp at Gute is also on this map here. The OLA also attacked the enemy troops that crossed the Didesa River from Ilu Ababor and Jima and arrived at actually that city in the middle, Naqamte, Jato, Darge, and the New Kunba district also, and inflicted heavy casualties on government troops. And there were other places where the OLA attacked the enemy, including at Lekadulacha, Gatama, Jima Arjo, and the town of Mose in Wana Agalo. Meanwhile, in the West Arsi zone, the OLA reported killing over 12 and injuring 17 enemy combatants that were preparing for an early attack in the Heban district that was just yesterday. In another area of the country, the OLA attacked and also killed 2 members of the Ethiopian regime army located in Oda Bultum, which is in the West Hararge zone, and also killed 43 enemy combatants in Fantale in the East Shawa zone in a battle that consisted of heavy fighting and lasted a full 3 days between December 11th and today, as we're filming this, December 13th. Here on this map, you can see the capital Finfine to the west over there, and on the very side, in the middle right there, you can see Fantale, and then Oda Bultum is marked on the right side. Overall, the OLA now controls most of the West and East Walaga zones, as well as central Oromia, surrounding the capital of Finfine, and the East and West Guji zones and the Borana zone. And the OLA has also established itself in other areas, including Arsi, Bale, in East and West Hararge, in Jima, and in the Ilu Ababor zones. Meanwhile, the TDF has declared capturing a strategic town of Gashena, which is in the Amhara region, after its recent retreat that it says was a strategic retreat that it actually intended to carry out. And it was reported this past week that the TPLF also retook the UNESCO World Heritage Site of Lalibela 11 days after it was captured by Abiy's forces. Meanwhile, the TDF has still withdrawn from some areas that it previously controlled as it dealt with attacks that were launched from behind and also potential damage to its supply chain that it was relying upon. And the war in some northern areas of Ethiopia has also recently been rekindled. In other news, a letter that was recently leaked to ESAT TV, which is an Amhara diaspora TV channel, shows that the Ethiopian government has ordered the media not to air any information about the ongoing conflict with the OLA. We'll put an image of that letter that was leaked to ESAT here. So the letter here describes that the stated purpose of not covering the war, one is to prevent the public and global community from receiving information about which areas of the country have been taken by the OLA. Another would be to suggest that the OLA has failed to liberate or essentially recapture even local administrations, and to sort of cause OLA supporters, people who are supporting the army, to lose hope that there is possible progress for the movement. And another reason stated in this letter here is for government-sponsored media to essentially have a monopoly on information that is disseminated, and to have free reign to essentially propagate fabricated allegations and put out propaganda portraying the OLA negatively. And the letter also suggests that this block on reporting any activities of the OLA will allow the government to conduct covert operations and to continue to retake areas that are currently under OLA control, and as I said before, also to essentially allow propaganda to be broadcast freely without differing points of view in the news. And in other news on Oromia, the Oromia support group has just released its 58th report, in which it updates its figure of the total death toll of Ethiopian citizens killed by the regime since October of 2018, excluding those deaths that took place in Tigray and Afar. That current death toll now stands at 2,701, and that includes 1,905 Oromos, 1,548 of which were killed in 2020 and 2021. And that report from the OSG also expands upon the massacre at a religious ceremony in Karayu in East Shoa recently. I'll put up a copy of that report. So here, expanding upon the reports that were received by FNN News of the massacre that took place in Karayu, that occurred on the 1st of this month. The OSG found that in total, 14 bodies were found. However, 25 others who were beaten and disappeared by government forces during that incident still remain unaccounted for. And as FNN reported on previously, Jilu Didu, pictured here in this little picture, who was the Abagada, or a traditional leader in the community, was also among those killed, as well as other important community leaders and representatives who were present at that religious ceremony that was targeted by government troops. And the report also draws attention to some background on the area in which the massacre occurred and its significance to the conflict, as referenced from a report that was released by the OLA, dated from August. And so it states here, in terms of the background of that massacre, Amhara state security forces have crossed the border and launched an invasion in Fantale in Karayu. In that situation, we have seen the resettling of people from Amhara state into the captured land in Oromia. This is all part of a trend we are seeing throughout the country. Claims of ancestral ownership made by the radical, powerful elements in the Amhara regional state's government are being enforced by the state's security apparatus. That has resulted in the terror we have seen in Western Tigray, Metakel, Wolu, and now East Walaga and Karayu. We will see the kind of brutal ethnic cleansing that has happened in Western Tigray to be repeated throughout the country. So again, that's some background that was given by the OSG on the the political and social situation that was present in Karayu, in that area, already before this recent massacre happened. And another killing that was raised in the OSG's report that occurred fairly recently occurred in Haru Karza, which is a very nearby town to Karayu, on November 30th. according to local reports obtained by the OSG, authorities attacked Oromos living there after demanding that they give up, again, OLA supporters or reveal their locations and identities. Officials also beat and harassed local residents and raped women, according to testimonies from locals. And when a crowd gathered together in an attempt to prevent those authorities from taking away 5 young men from the community, the authorities then opened fire, resulting in deaths. In other news, the Human Rights League of the Horn of Africa has released a statement commemorating the 73rd anniversary of the United Nations General Assembly adopting the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And that letter also addresses some of the grave human rights concerns currently that they state are occurring in Ethiopia. And the report states here that the HRLHA has received multiple reports of essentially threats to human rights in Ethiopia, especially since the state of emergency was first declared on November 2nd. According to that statement, some of those human rights abuses include a lack of accountability and persistence of the culture of impunity for human rights abuses, extrajudicial killings, suppression of the freedom of peaceful demonstration and protest, shrinking of the political space and harassment of oppositions, communication blackouts, harassment of journalists and activists, civilian attack, arbitrary arrest, inhumane treatment, and forced disappearance. And this statement also calls upon the Ethiopian government and other belligerents in the conflict to declare an immediate ceasefire and to immediately begin an all-inclusive national dialogue. Going forward, we will continue to update you on the OLA's progress towards the capital, the ongoing conflict with the government, and other news on Oromia. Thanks again for watching FNN News, Finfine News Network, and I am your host, Sibel.